said, let me stay this way. Jesus, there's freedom in your name. You break every chain, oh Lord.
All right, hello and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Isaac Walsh, and I'm here with Derrick Hullum. Say good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Before we get to him, if this is your first time, you know anybody struggling with drug addiction or alcohol addiction and need help, have them go to UCAN, UCAN, UCANMichigan.com. Click on struggling, and you're going to see that we have someone that can get in touch with them within 30 minutes to help them out. Even if it's an emergency scenario, we see them at the hospital. We get them into housing. We help them out with things. If you know someone that's just struggling in general, needs some help with food or clothes or baby formula or mental health or church issues, drug rehabilitation, have them go to spiritualwarfareunit.com, click on struggling, and we have over 25 different partners in the community that help somebody. And our partner of the day, our warrior of the day today is Derrick Hullum, and your group is called what?
Change Man Outreach Ministries.
All right, on the screen, Change Man Outreach Ministries. Is somebody want to get a hold of you, they can go to the Facebook page?
Yes.
And it's Change Man Outreach Ministries.
Yes, sir.
All right, so Change Man Outreach. Now, so you and I met through a mutual friend who is another super positive person that I love. And we got to meet, hit it off right away. And I think, was it at the Hope?
Yes.
Was that the first one?
Yep.
All right. Now, you said we had met down at the jail prior, but I was not aware of that. But that was a good positive thing. So you have a scenario coming up here pretty quick, tomorrow, in fact. And you've named it Pull Over for Prayer Saturday.
Yes.
And this is June 29th, tomorrow. And this is at Michigan Works in the parking court.
Yep, outside in parking lot. Yep.
From 1 o'clock to 4.
Yes,
now,
sir.
So what brought this idea on?
It's like 5 years ago. I was doing it in Saginaw, and when, like I said, God told me to come back to Flint. I said, "Okay, Lord, I'm gonna come back to Flint, but I'm gonna bring this with me." A pullover for prayer is when you pull over. We can pray with you in the car, or you can get out and pray. We can pray with you or whatnot. And we met a lot of people, especially downtown, going to the hospital, the Hurley. They say, "Hey, I need a prayer. I'm going to the hospital. Whatever situation." So we pray for them, and so they'll come back and say, "Hey, the situation, God, they blessed my family." And so I'm like, "All right, Lord, we got to keep this going." And so my heart was to have different churches do it. And just keep going. You can be on any corner, wherever you want to be at, and we just pray for people. And so now a lot of churches doing it now too. So.
All right. So how many churches you got involved with? Just yours, or is there multiple ones?
Right now, I think I got like 4 churches involved right now, and a couple more people that's coming from Lansing also, and Grand Rapids, and so that's an awesome thing.
All right. So let's get your story. So you're a Flint kid. You grew up on the South Side, you said?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you left Flint, so you graduated here?
Yes, Flint Central.
Central.
Yeah, man.
All right, so Central, and then what happens?
Growing up, I was growing up in Flint. I thought I was grown in my mom's house, and so my mom said, "Okay, you think you're grown, you can get out." And so I was 15, and so I thought she was joking. And when she took her key back and said, "You can get out," so. That time I had to be a man. I had to learn how to be a man for the first time in my life.
So were you homeless?
I was homeless. So I stayed with different friends.
Yeah.
Sleeping on couches, sleeping in basements and whatnot. And so sleeping in wherever I can sleep at that time. And so at that point, that's when the drugs and everything else came, because it was easy then. I didn't have to worry about my mom saying anything to me. So the drugs came easy. The liquor came easy. Yeah. The pills came easy. And so I indulged in that. Being a young man on my own, trying to survive, trying to, figure out life.
So what'd you do for work?
My first job I worked at, it was called Maxi Meat on Lapeer and Averill. I was a meat cutter for a long time. It was off and on, but he gave me my first chance there, man. And so I was off and on working there, but I was spending most of the money just trying to eat and trying to survive. And they didn't know I was homeless, but I never told them that. But they always cared for me and loved for me, anyway.
All right, so you're 15 and you're going through this. How long did this scenario last? You being homeless and a meat cutter?
Man, it lasted, I say, till I got in my 20s.
Hold on, you were just floating.
I was just floating. I had
for
good
5
friends.
or 6 years.
Yep, young man. Yep.
Wow.
Yep, young man in Flint.
Why?
Because I had a pride. I didn't want to go back home. I had pride.
But all that time you weren't able to save up any money and get your own place or nothing.
Man, I was drugs was my baby.
Oh,
Alcohol. I was so depressed in that, and that's what every time I got paid every week, I had to drink. I had to get a drink, and so I'm not gonna say. I ain't gonna tell you where I got it from, but it was a guy that knew us from the neighborhood, and so it was easy to get it.
Yeah. So how old were you? Do you think before you like, man, I'm full blown alcoholic? Do you think?
About 18.
18.
Yep.
So in 3 years, you went from I'm grown, I'm out of the house, to being homeless, to I'm drinking. Man,
I had to, man. That's the only way I try to cover up my depression. Drinking, pills, whatever.
Well, you know, drinking's a depressive.
Yeah, and it made it even worse.
Yeah, like if you could have picked anything else, right?
It was the cheapest at the time.
Yeah, doesn't that make sense when you say it out loud?
It was, man. It was.
Oh, all right. So you're in your early 20s. Holy smokes! And you just been surfing. So what happens?
So I try to get myself together. I remember staying with my friend, and I was so depressed, and I tried to commit suicide.
And you're how old?
I was like 22, 23 at the time.
Okay.
And I had a child. She was a baby, and I was like, I don't have no job. I don't have no money.
Yep.
I was depressed.
Yep.
And so I remember one day everybody was gone. I was just by myself, and an enemy was attacking my mind so bad. And so I tried to hang myself. And at the point me trying to hang myself, I heard the Lord say, I have a plan for your life. And when he said I had a plan for your life, it's like the rope loosened from my neck.
No kidding.
And I said, all right, Lord. So after that, man, my friends came home. They see me. They're like, what's wrong, man? What's wrong? What's going on? And, you know, you could have talked to us. But growing up, I bottled so much inside. I never talked about my problems. Yeah. And so I kept them inside.
Why do you think?
I had a wall up because I couldn't trust nobody.
So you just pretended to be okay?
I told I'm good. But all this time, it was eating me up inside. I was dying. I wanted to call out for help, but I didn't know how to call out for help.
You think that most people deal with it like that? They just pretend that they're okay?
A lot of people, man.
Think so? I think so too, man. I think Facebook is the fakest place.
Man, oh my, you could be anybody you want to.
Oh man, the pictures and the oh look how and people are only putting like the most important things up there.
Yeah.
You know, why do you think they got filters, right? There's a reason why there's a filter.
That's right.
And I think so too. I think a lot of people struggle with depression. And the other thing is they're always looking at what other people have. And you're like, man, I can't do that, or I'm not that person, or I can't be that person. Right. I struggled with a depression too. I don't know if I didn't talk. I always wanted to just make sure it was okay for everybody else, and I'm just going to take the hits.
Right.
That's how my mind did. Like, how did your mind? I'm just curious how your mind like dealt with that.
Everything.
Were you hiding it, or were you trying to be strong for the people around you? You know what I mean?
I was just hiding it because I didn't want nobody to say. I don't want nobody to be pity. Oh man, you okay? And you know, so I.
So it's the pity.
It's the pity. I didn't want the pity.
So you had a scenario in your past where you got the pity, and you're like, no,
I don't want that. So I brushed that pity off.
Same,
man. So I didn't want that pity, man. So I hid it to myself, and I had a smile, like you said. I smiled like everything was A-okay every day. Even though I was dying, man, I wanted to talk about it, but like, no, they wouldn't understand.
Like the Naked Gun.
Yeah,
nothing to see here.
That was me, bro.
The whole place is burning to the ground.
That was me.
Wow.
And so now, man, I said when it sometimes come back and try to draw up on me, I can feel it. I said, no, I know what this is. You know, I'm just gonna be honest. I struggle with it a little bit, not like I used to, but I have the Lord on my side now, so I know who to go to about it.
So what'd you do? I mean, mid-20s, you do this. What happened?
I finally, man. After that scenario, man, and one day I knew the Lord was calling me, but I was running. I was Jonah, man. I promise I was Jonah. He was trying to get my attention so much, and I was running, and I knew it. And so I got married. I said I was 25. I got married. That didn't last long because she was going through her problems. I was going through my problems, and we didn't know how to work it out. We was young.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have nobody to talk to at the time. And even though I was a new babe in Christ, I didn't know how to talk to a man because I never did. I always been on my own, so I didn't know how to talk to a man. So I never talked to a man about my problems, and so I kept it to myself, and she kept it hers to herself. So that caused division with us, and so I found myself homeless again after that we got divorced. And
how long was that?
I was like, I think about 26, 27. I was homeless for about 2-3 years. And so,
Yeah. No, it was. So you were together with her 2-3 years?
yeah, that didn't last long.
All right. So like from 22 to 25 or 23 to 26. Right
Yeah.
there? All right. So it doesn't work out, and then what?
I'm back living
You
with
said
other
you're
people.
homeless. So what?
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's like this cycle.
It's going right back
All right.
and forth.
So you're 26. So then what?
So I'm trying to find myself, man. And so I finally really found the Lord, and said, Lord, I'm tired of running. I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna go up a little bit. I was going to church, trying to find a church home. You know, it was kind of hard trying to find somewhere that I could fit in with.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I had all my problems, and every church I went to.
Did you feel like you weren't good enough for them people?
Yes,
Me
that's
too,
what I said.
man. I'm like, look, I don't fit in here. I know it.
Yeah, I'm not like them. I don't do the suits and all that, and so I didn't.
You know what I did to fix it?
What?
I went to a place I didn't fit in at all, like a yuppie church.
Really?
Yeah, because then I'm like, well, I ain't supposed to fit in anyway. But it'll let me sit on the edge.
Wow.
Isn't that weird?
That's
So you try to get one that you fit in?
I tried. I mean, I looked, and you know, and I always kept. I had a little small job, so I kept a little money, so I was okay, and so. Still living with different people, and so I was still struggling with drugs, still struggling with alcohol, still struggling with people. I was still struggling with these things, trying to find myself and trying to find a church that fits me. Because man, I was a. That's why I got a clothing line called Misfits for Christ. I was a misfit, bro. And, you know, and being in gangs, growing up in gangs, and that's why I didn't find love there. I didn't find love in the streets, and so I tried to find love in the church, and so I didn't find it. So I was looking, even though my mom raised us in the church, and I always remembered what she told us: when you get in trouble, you always go to the Lord. And so I'm gonna go fast forward now, bro. I remember one time I was in trouble, and I found myself in Genesee County, and I was in there. That's after I had that situation. I told the Lord, I said, Lord, I thought you had a plan for my life. I was upset at God. I'm just gonna be honest.
Well, you got a plan, you ain't got to follow it.
Man,
You know,
right. I didn't follow that plan. I was upset, man. I was upset at God. I'm sitting there, and it was a bunkie that I had, and he was going for like 20 years, and we was talking every night, man. And he was like, "Hey, man, God got something for you, bro." I'm looking at him like.
And you didn't tell him that?
I didn't say nothing to him about it. I didn't say nothing about me loving the Lord or nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and so he seen something in me. I know God was speaking to him, and so that night I sat on my bunk and I just cried, and I said, "All right, Lord, you got my attention. After all what I've been through, been shot, I've been stabbed, I tried to commit suicide, all these, been homeless and all. I said, Lord, you got my attention." And so that night I cried, man. I never cried like that before in my life. And it felt like somebody came and just grabbed and hugged me. And that hug, felt like I needed that hug from a father that I never had. And I know he was the father that, he said, son, the prodigal son, come on back home. I still love you. And so that night I gave my life to the Lord, bro. And I cried, and I had my eyes closed. I never opened my eyes. And I smelled like, this Genesee County, it don't smell good.
No.
And so I never opened my eyes, bro. And I smelled like a sweet aroma in that room. And I said, Lord, I know you're here.
All right, before we continue on, we already got to go to our first break. If this is your first time, please help us get the word out for our guys. Like, share, subscribe. Sit tight. We'll be right back. Taking a quick break from our podcast, I wanted to let you know about our life application program that we have for churches and nonprofits in the area that are trying to find programming that they can use in case the corona shuts you down and you're not able to get in. You go to spiritualwarfareunit.com. You click on our episodes, and you can check out our programs for as little as $29.99 a month to make sure that we're still getting the word out to those people that need it. Now, back to the program. All right, welcome back to the show. Our host is Derrick Hullum, and he is here for Change Man Outreach Ministry. So, we got about 14 minutes or so. And so you smelled a smell. Was it like flowers?
It was like a sweet flower smell, man.
No kidding. You were not. The reason why I'm asking is because that's not the first time I've heard that story. Not from you.
Right.
And I just find it interesting. I've never experienced that, but I've heard that story multiple times. All right. So that happens, and what?
So that happened, and I said, all right, Lord, I need to get a relationship with you. And so, I was a diabetic, and I knew it. And so I said, Lord, I'm going to fast for 10 days. We supposed to eat. I said, Lord, I'm gonna trust you. That's my first time I had to trust God, man. And I said, Lord, I'm gonna trust you. And so I fasted for 10 days in there, and God worked it out. And so when I left there, it was a lot of brothers like, oh man, I got baptized. Matter of fact, I got baptized in there also. I forgot what the church called that baptized me, and I was going to Bible studies and whatnot. And Forgotten Man Ministry was there, and I was learning, and so I said, Lord, I'm gonna live for you. This is the first time in my life. I went to church. I played church, man. That you go into church looking for women, looking for see who I can see. And, that's why I went to church.
Last night.
Right. So that was my goal. But this time I said, it's for real, Lord. I said, you don't. And he was showing me like all these times when the enemy's trying to attack me, he was there, protecting me.
Yep.
He was showing me all these things. I said, Lord, I thank you. And so I said, I'm gonna live for you, Lord. And Change Man Outreach came up, and I was leaving, and he said, you a changed man.
Who said?
The Lord told me.
Oh, okay.
I said, okay, Lord. I said, I know. And he said, no, you a changed man. I said, wow, that sound like something I can do. It was just me just going out. I said, what? I said, Lord, what you want me to do? And he said, you got to go back. And so that time I was living in Saginaw. I moved to Saginaw. I said, go back to where? He said, you got to go back to Flint. I said, no, no, Lord.
How old are you when this
I was like 30. I was in my 30s then, about 35.
All right,
36.
so catch me up just real quick. Between you get out of county and you went to Saginaw after
I
you
went
got
because my mom then moved to Saginaw.
Yeah, oh, okay.
So I wanted to be closer to her.
What'd you do when you was out there?
In Saginaw? I had a job. Let me tell you this, bro. I was a beekeeper for like 8 years.
A beekeeper?
I'm
like the movie?
Yeah, I was him. Jason Statham. I was him, but the black one.
Very good.
For 8 years, bro, I did it. What's so crazy? I met this guy named Jim Shafley. He was doing construction in bees, and so I met him through another friend. I said, man, I do construction, but I'm not gonna mess with no bees.
Yeah.
He said, oh, you got to try it. He was a pastor. He said, you got to try it. So I went home and I prayed. I said, Lord, God said, try it. I said, Lord, black people don't mess with bees. I said, no, we don't do that.
I don't mess with bees.
I'm good. So, but I tried it, man. And 8 years later, I was working, and we worked out, and I worked out in St. Charles, Michigan. I met these couples called Marion and Terry Kleins, and it's called T and Kleins and Sons. And I started working for them. Mary, she was loving me. She said, I want you to work for me full time. I said, well, I can't just leave Jim and he said, don't worry about him. I'll deal with him. I said, okay.
Yeah.
And so I worked with them, man, for like 8 years of my life, man. They loved me. They treated me like family, bro. And I learned the skill.
So you get a timeout with the bees.
Yeah.
And then, all right, you got a Change Man, and that gave the idea for Change Man Ministries out. So then you come back to Flint. What's your first step?
My first step is, what can I do?
Yeah, but you just come back and did you hit a church?
My brother church is called it's called Flint Driven, Pastor Dion Llewellyn.
Okay.
And he didn't, his church was in Swartz Creek at the time. So I was with him and I was learning under him, and he was like, bro, you got a gift, man. He said, you got a gift that don't need to be housed. You got to spread it to the people. I was like, what you mean, man? He's like, you got to spread it to the people. And my heart always been for the homeless. Always been for the homeless because I was there. I know the situation. So I said, all right, Lord, where you want me to start? He said, go back downtown Flint. And so I was going downtown Flint, man, just talking to people and just going under the bridge. When people said, don't go under the bridge, I was going under the bridge, and because that's where they do all that stuff.
You knew where to go.
I knew where to go. That's the spot. So I want to go where they at.
Yeah.
And so Change Man Outreach is for the homeless and men getting out of prison. I want to uplift them and trying to bring them out that depression mind state.
So what do you do? Like, what does Change Man Ministries Outreach do?
We support the people of Flint. We support homeless. We support veterans. We support
veterans. Wait a minute.
Yep. I got
perked my ears.
Yeah, I got a brother right now. We do a food giveaway every Wednesday at 10 o'clock on the university.
Veterans giveaway. Food giveaway or just food giveaway?
Food giveaway, but I got a veteran that's I talk to, and I bring food every Wednesday. I make sure I be there. Whatever I got to do, I got to make sure he's good. And that's my heart because he served our country. So I make sure if I don't have a car, hey, man, you need to take me over here so I can make sure he has some food.
All right. So when did you start this? What year?
Oh, man. I say about 2010, 2010 I started, but it really didn't jump off, man, till like about 3 years ago.
Really?
Because I didn't have the support. It was just me. Because people like, man, you crazy. You going down there with the homeless. You going down there.
It's kind of crazy when you say it out loud, but then it's kind of not crazy at the same time because you're like, well, I already know these spots.
Right.
So when you're talking to them, you're like, yeah, I know. Do you put your food here? Do you make sure you got your partner to keep yourself safe? You're making sure you guys are taking care of each other when you're dope sick, right?
Yep.
So, and if you don't know what we're talking about, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you're actually like, here's the vibe, here's the things. Make sure, you know, that you're keeping yourself safe and you're not judging them. But it would take someone who had went through that.
Yes.
So, all right, now I have several questions.
Yes.
I'm going to run out of time.
That's all right. Come on.
What I always would have. All right, so then when you look at this, you've been doing this how many years now? 10, 12?
About 10, 12, yeah.
All right, so 10, 12 years, you look at this and you go, okay, now out of all the things to pick, you were homeless for them years.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense when you look at the whole storyline, right?
Yep.
The whole arc of the story. Okay, so that makes sense to you. So then doing that, giving you a heart to him, do you think if you had gone through that, you would still have a heart for him? Or you think that those experiences of being homeless both at 15 and then again
In my 20s.
Yeah.
What I have, you know what, bro? I probably would, because I always had a heart to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people forget about the homeless. They forget about the veterans. They forget about the homeless. They forget.
Get a job.
Get a job. You can do better. You don't know what they're going through.
Yeah.
And so, me doing this, man, I know a lot of people don't have a heart for it, but I see what's going on. You know, like you said, I talk to them.
Give us some insight.
I go
like
down
what's
there.
going on? Like, here's my questions. You just say yes or no. How about that?
Yeah, okay.
Like, do you think depression is a major problem?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think the depression leads to the drinking and the drugs, you think?
Yes.
All right. Do you think that the people that you talk to, is there a bunch of things that they've gone through that led to this?
Yes.
All right. Because most people think, well, they just have mental problems and they're crazy, which I don't.
No.
I don't think that's not been my experience.
No. Not all of them. It's crazy.
Like some of them.
Some of them, but a lot of them just had a bad turn. Like me, some stuff happened and they couldn't get control of it, and so it led them back. It led them to the streets where they had to defend for themselves. And so they said, "Well, I'd rather be in the streets than be around people that love me." And that's sad to say. I had a woman said she'd rather be in the streets. I said, "Why is that?" She said, "I don't have to worry about people. I don't have to worry about bills. I don't have to worry about all these things that come with it." I said, "Wow." I said, "You know what?
There's some logic to that.
Yeah, it's some lot, and I never understood it until now. She don't have to worry about what's going on in the world. She's free, and so those people down there is people. They're not just they are aliens. They are monsters. No, they are people too.
Yeah.
They have a heart. They just went through a bad time, and so my goal is to try to help them and build them back up and see where the root is, where it got them to that situation, and try to help them."
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those ones that, like, I help the people that do it, like you, and I got a couple other guys that I just kind of, like, I help them with their programs and what they're doing. It's not something guys give me a gift for, like, veterans, motivational speaking, doing the music, the outreach, like, love all that and love what you're doing and, like, want to help you with what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
But at the same time, it's just, like, I've had you could get into this. And it's just like, I love that thing, and I love that you love it.
Right.
And I know that that's not my thing. My thing is supporting you with doing this, but I like putting people towards you.
That's all I need, man. Just the support.
Yeah, because it's a crazy one. Because sometimes, man, it's a little sketch.
Yeah.
Like if we're being legit on it, you go down there, and if you don't know the troll areas, and they see you coming, you're a mark to them just as much as
they see it on you. Oh yeah. They see it on you. They know who's who. They know who to trying to finesse, and they know who not to finesse. And so,
yeah. And so if what I would want to suggest, if this is not a ministry that you've gone before, you need to go with an experienced person because it's necessary. Jail was the same way.
Yes.
Like you can't go in there and just be like, hey, I mean, people they take them, they see them.
Yep.
They'd fist line them in there and they nail them,
Yeah.
And so, but at the same time, the amount of people that have been unloved and gave up, I think it fills a lot of things, and then they become that victim, right?
Yes.
Because you tell me if this is wrong, and I'm still if I'm asking too many questions.
No, you good, bro. You good.
But like they get used to, you come down, you get your pictures, you doing stuff for us makes you feel good about you, and then I go about my life again, and I got my little backpack and my food and my stuff.
Right.
Like, that's a thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so sometimes people are like, well, I don't understand why, because they know that they're doing. Sometimes people do things to feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
Versus someone who's doing the work and in the streets, and those are different things. And it's not that it's bad. It just it creates that, hey, how are you? And thank you for noticing me thing,
Right.
And nobody wants it to be that. But, at certain times it also is. That's what makes what you're doing really important, because you're like in those streets.
Gotta be,
doing
man.
those things. So, like, how many people do you have doing this prayer thing tomorrow?
Lord's will, man, it'd be over 50 people.
50?
Yes. So we're going to
4 churches.
Yeah, so we're going to spread all downtown. We're going to set up all downtown. I have popcorn. I have hot dogs. I have waters for whoever come. I just want to make sure they're okay.
Right.
Like you said, it's not about the pictures for me, man. It's about the love, for real. Because, I want to see people. I want to see Flint get built back up.
Yeah.
My goal is, bro, to fill heaven up. And so whatever I got to do, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, it's funny. Out of all this work and all the work we do, the only thing we get to take with us is people.
That's it.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is.
The rest of it kind of whatever.
It just and so it don't really matter to me, man. It's times where I don't get support. I go out of my own pocket and say, well, Lord, this was got to happen because I want to make sure these people's okay.
All right, I only got a couple minutes left. You said you had a line, and your shirt says "Second Story Maury," and I need to know what that means because I don't get it.
Change Man Outreach Ministries, it's a ministry for people. To love on people, to build people up, to care about people, to have a heart for people. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to be a part of that, it's not a clique. It's just a gang of people that love people. And so that's who I hang around with, people that love people. And so that's the most important thing. If you love people, man, I want to be with you because we're going to love on some people together. And
so what's Second Story Maury, mate?
2 Corinthians 5:17, that you're a new creation in Christ. Old things are passed away. Now you behold, you are new. And so that's why I trademark myself as I'm a new creature in Christ. And the people that's downtown Flint and wherever, they going to be a new creature in Christ.
So that's what Second Story Maury means?
That's what it means.
Oh, and the white rabbit?
Right, that's
I did, it had very neo sign, I was just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
That's very cool, man. I love anybody's got their own swag. If you're gonna buy something, make something that you like. You know what I'm saying?
Man. Like, do your own thing.
Yeah. Like, why would I pay $37 because it's got some kind of a, what I mean?
Right.
It's just, it doesn't even make any sense.
No, it don't.
This whole thing makes no sense.
Nah,
dude.
Bro.
We only got to part of your story. We're already done. So if you guys want something to do and you're hitting this. It's tomorrow downtown at Michigan Works.
Yes.
It's right downtown there. And from 1 to 4 p.m., there's going to be a bunch of people. The pics and everything looks like a great time.
Yes.
Derrick, dude, got to have you back on. But one, I want to hear what's going on, and we got to get the rest of the story the next time that you come on. But I want to thank you for coming in. I appreciate everything you're doing. And if you're a fan of Derrick's or a new fan, I hope that you like and subscribe to our program and help us help other people. We want to appreciate you so much for coming in.
Thank you, sir.
And I look forward to seeing you guys next time.
Next time.
Do you have a nonprofit in your area that's doing a lot of work that people should know about? Feel free to contact Spiritual Warfare Unit at 810-715-9319, and we would love to have them on to see what good they're doing in the community and find out their story. Thank you so much.
Spent so much time believing the lies. I knew I wasn't meant to live this way, but my walls came down and your love shone through. Now my life will never be the same. You love me too much to let me stay this way.